Hello and welcome to this game review. So in this one, the problem was quite clear. You did not look at your opponent's forcing moves. And this was quite evident right from the beginning. And at the end, this was the reason for your loss, as you got checkmated in one move, which generally should not happen. We should be able to always see when our opponent is threatening checkmate. So e4, c6, we have the Caro-Kann, and white plays this g3 move. But this doesn't really change our plan much. We played d5 anyway. This was the point of c6. And after bishop g2, we played e6. But now we have to understand what the point of the opening is. And the point of the opening is always the same. We want to fight for the center. We want to develop the pieces. And we want to castle. There's nothing special. This move e6, it kind of fights for the center, but not really. It tries to develop the bishop. But if you want to move the e-pawn, why not just e5? Now we have the perfect center. We can develop the pieces how we want. And we should be quite a bit better. Also, we could just take here. And if white wants to take back, we can now develop a piece with tempo. If the bishop moves, we can develop another piece. And now we have even more pieces developed than white, which means we have done very well in the opening. Next, we can finish development, castle the king, and then go from there. But e6 is kind of a weird move. It blocks the bishop, knight c3, and the bishop c5. So of course it makes sense to develop pieces, but still, before making any move at all in chess, we must think about the opponent's replies, at least a little bit. So before making any move, we must make sure that none of the opponent's checks, captures, and attacks can do any harm to us. And after bishop c5, white can play d4, which he did. A simple move taking the center, but also not just taking the center, but this time he is also attacking our bishop. So this is a forcing move, which we should have seen. And if you didn't see this, then we have to look at what you did see. And after bishop c5, there is the capture here, but this is fine. We can recapture with whatever. So there's not that much else to look at. Knight a4, we can move the bishop, and now the knight is weirdly placed. So d4 must have been seen. So this was also already kind of foreshadowing what happened later. So now d4, bishop b6, queen h5. So the opponent is developing the queen a bit early. Instead, he should just develop the pieces, and he has better development. He has the perfect center. So of course, white is slightly better, as he is doing quite well in the opening. But queen h5 is a bit random. Now knight e7. Firstly, there's a question of why not knight f6. Again, we must develop pieces and we must fight for the center. So knight f6 has to be the automatic move here, as we're attacking the queen. And also, we are developing the piece towards the center instead of e7. Also, there is a pawn hanging here. So why are we not taking it, right? Okay, knight e7, bishop g5, and now you took the pawn. Bishop e7. Now some simplification. Bishop takes c3. This is generally okay, as we are up material now, so exchanging pieces is kind of good. And queen e7 and castles e5. Again, we have to ask ourselves, what is the point of the opening? By now you should know. It's to develop the pieces, get castled at them, and fight for the center. So we have gotten castled, that's fine. Our pieces are not really developed. And the center, well, we're not really fighting for it. We could be better, like knight c5, knight c6, play f6 at some point, maybe to actually get rid of the opponent's center, maybe after we develop pieces. But b5, this doesn't help in either respect. If b6, we could at least put the bishop on a6. This would kind of make sense. For example, bishop on a6, then I can go to d7, then c5, or play f6. And this would make sense, as now all of our pieces would be developed. We are a pawn ahead. We should be doing very well. b5, castles, bishop a6, developing the bishop behind our pawn. Okay, b1, knight d7. Okay, now we have kind of developed the pieces. And rook b4. So already this move should alarm us a little bit, and we have to ask ourselves, what is the opponent doing, right? And there's not that many ideas. The rook is not going there, right, or there, or there. It's definitely going to the king side. So c5 is played, pushing the rook where it wants to go. And now simply b4 after like 20 minutes of thought. and checkmate, right? So this is a problem. This must not happen in our games. Here, of course, white is threatening checkmate, but it's easy to see now after the game. But during the game, we must think about it this way as well. Before making the move we want to make, let's say you want to make the b4 move. Okay, maybe you're opening up the bishop, opening up some files for the rooks. The move maybe makes sense. But whether it makes sense or not, that does not matter. What matters is whether or not it's a blunder. And before making the move, we can imagine that we've made the move, and let's think about the opponent's checks, captures, and attacks. Well, look at that. The only check is a checkmate. In captures, well, there's this, but there's also this, and again, it's checkmate. So again, if we do any blunder check, we will find that h6 must be played, as otherwise we're just getting checkmated in one move, right? And later, we can start playing this b4 move. For example, now let's not blunder queen h6. We can move the king away, and next move we can finally play maybe b4 if the opponent doesn't create a threat again. But this is a very big issue if this keeps continuing. We must not blunder checkmate in one move, especially with so much time on the clock. We must do a blunder check on every single move.